This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. And today's show, of course, taking place at the Farm Progress Show in Boone. It's day number one of the show. I will be joined by Brad Van Kooten of Pioneer in today's episode. But first, let's take a look at the closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Mark Magnuson here at the Farm Progress Show. We are ready for our market discussion here, and I'm joined now by Matt Bennett of agmarket.net. Matt, good to see you here in person at the show. You've got your display located inside the Varied Industries tent. Had a good show so far?
Oh, yeah. I mean, here we are on the first day, and, earlier last week I thought it was going to be in the mid-90s. It's cooled off some, it's the high 80s. The other thing I was worried about was rain. I've been here before whenever we had to slobber through the mud, but actually it's a beautiful day. I know that it could be a little cooler, but there is a nice little breeze, and the traffic's been really good, actually. I was afraid maybe the heat would scare some folks away, but pretty darn good traffic in my opinion.
And we got a little bit of a rain shower here this morning. Did well for dust control, and like Matt said, cooled off just a little bit as well. So let's jump into the market discussion here for Tuesday. Matt, how did we finish in the grains here today?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the grains are concerned, Tuesday, we're kind of fluttering around up 4, 5, 6 cents on corn. Corn, though, last Friday had a life of contract close low. Life of contract low here on Monday as well. And so you came in here, you dropped ratings on corn 2%. It's late enough in the year, ratings are going to drop. I don't think it had hardly anything to do with a little bit of a bounce in the market today. I think what it had to do with more than anything is just that it's kind of a dead cat bounce. It's an oversold market. The producer's still selling corn, but I do think that some of this managed money is probably covering some shorts, taking some profits. First notice day's on the way. Bottom line is you're going to be in a position where, corn's it can't go down every day. Now, I will say this. I'm very concerned that over the long haul, you could be looking at lower markets. Yet, you've got big stocks and you're going to add a big crop to it. Even if you drop a yield or a bushel or two, big stocks.
And Matt, already here at the show, a big talking point that I've noticed from a lot of different displays, a lot of different exhibitors, has been making up that difference from those decreasing commodity prices by getting those yields up. Have you noticed that from just about everybody?
Yeah, I mean, in this environment, you're going to have one heck of a good yield to make money. Let's just be honest about it. I know it's not fun to talk about. I do have growers that I know that will have a record crop in 2024 and won't make any money. And that's not fun, but here at the show, I think that it always propagates ideas. The one thing that I like about the show is just the fellowship amongst farmers, because let's face it, this is a very stressful time, and I like to see all the farmers that get off the farm. I mean, I farm as well. I know it's stressful. I know it's tough. In my hometown, we talk about it quite a bit, that you got to stay active. Check on your neighbors, because this is one of the more stressful events, for some farmers that they've seen in their career, especially some of the younger guys. So I'm not one of the younger ones anymore, and I was just a teenager going through the 80s. But one really good thing about it that I want to challenge folks on is that I didn't know the 80s were that bad, because my parents were such just positive people. They were going through, just going through absolute what. But they were able to maintain the structure of the family as best possible, and we didn't know how bad times were until later in the fact. And I think that's the challenge that we've got as producers, is that it's tough right now, but we need to still stay positive and know that things always end up turning around sooner or later.
That's a very good message, Matt. Let's go over to the other side of the ag marketplace in the livestock complex. What do we see with the cattle and hogs?
Yeah, I mean, cattle trading higher. It's kind of nice to see in here. Actually, the cattle on feed report last Friday wasn't friendly. We knew it wasn't going to be. And so I'm not surprised to see a little bit of buying come in. I think over the next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, you've got such big cattle on feed and placement numbers last year, that you're bound to still say what you would call a fundamentally bullish story. Keep it intact. The thing that's concerning is that lately we've seen times whenever our equities markets have been rallying and cattle haven't. Now, whenever equities plummet, we know cattle travel lower with them. And so I've been a little concerned with that type of market action. But today we're seeing we've seen higher cattle prices. It's a really good thing to see. I don't know how much more up we see. I feel like the cattle investors kind of backed away from the market just a little bit. I don't know that we're going to go to new all-time highs.
And for the hogs, are they staying? It's good to see that front month price at least with an 8 in front of it, but what are we looking at with the hogs right now?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with hogs with an 8 in front of it is that, it seems like we'll go to even 9 in front of it at times, and then boom, we just plummet lower, And so this hog market looks like it's trying to establish some sort of footing. I wouldn't trust it a whole lot, especially at a time whenever I feel like cattle are kind of struggling to maintain any sort of momentum. If cattle could get back up in the mid 180s, high 180s, 190s, hogs are probably going to rally. But if cattle struggle to do so, I'm not so sure that you'll get that spillover support, if you will, because hogs market needs all the help it can get right now.
Matt Bennett of agmarket.net, our guest here for Markets at Midday. Matt, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing info?
Yeah, it's just agmarket.net. You can go there, get our research, all of our contact info, the app. I mean, the app, we've got an app that's out on the Play Store, but you can figure out how to get on the app through the website. So agmarket.net's the place to go.
Matt, thanks so much for the time, and once again, enjoy the rest of the Farm Progress Show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Matt Bennett of agmarket.net for our closing market summary. It's time now to take a look at the closing numbers, which can be found on our website anytime at iowaagnet.com. September corn closes up 5 1/4 at $367 1/4. September soybeans up 7 3/4 at $967 1/2. September soybean meal up 5.20 at $317.30. September soybean oil down 55 cents at $41.15. Chicago wheat up 10 1/4 at $508 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 4 3/4 at $546 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 13 3/4 at $538 3/4. September oats up 3 even at $324 even. On the Merc, October live cattle up $2.42 at $179.40. September feeder cattle up 57 cents at $241.92. October lean hogs up $1.67 at $82.07. October pork cutout up 15 cents at $91.07. Class 3 milk down a penny at $22.53. That does it for our closing market coverage for today. It is time now to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soybean Checkoff. And when we return, I will be joined by Brad Van Kooten of Pioneer. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, I am joined by Brad Van Kooten of Pioneer. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. We are here today at Farm Progress Show 2024, the first day of the show, and we're at the kickoff event to the show here at the Pioneer and Corteva exhibit. I'm with Brad Van Kooten with Pioneer. And Brad, what is your role within Pioneer?
Mark, I'm the category lead for seed applied technologies for the Pioneer brand.
And you had the task here this morning to start off the show by telling us about Lumiante. Could you tell us about this fungicide, please?
Yes, we're excited about a new addition for all of our soybean treatment next year, a product called Lumiante. The active ingredient is ethoboxam. It's a product we've used in corn successfully for the last several years, and so we're excited to bring this to soybeans also. What it's going to do for our soybean lineup is going to bring additional Pythium protection, many more strains of Pythium than what we're controlling today, and so bring us to really the best protection that we've seen for Pythium by adding Lumiante. It also provides another mode of action for Phytophthora. And so we think about what farmers face as far as stand establishment in these cool, wet springs. Those are a couple real threats. The Phytophthora and Pythium we know is out in every soybean field that farmers are growing soybeans in, and so having added protection, real excited about that, bringing that to our customers.
Brad, does this tie in as well to the trend of growers planting earlier in the season, the fact that this is going to give you additional coverage?
Absolutely. So we know by planting early, colder, wetter conditions were more likely as we plant earlier. We're very supportive of early planting because we see the yield benefits that growers are enjoying with the early planting. And so we want to give them some added protection. We know the environment doesn't get any easier each year either. And so adding protection makes a lot of sense in bringing new innovative products that increase the chance that grower gets the full yield potential out of those new Z-Series soybeans we're bringing.
And when it comes to that extra protection against Pythium, like you talked about, Phytophthora, is this something that growers come to you and say, hey, these are the things we're dealing with, we really need some better help? Or is it something that Pioneer's looking at and saying, in our trials, everything that we're doing, we're finding that this is a major problem that we need to deal with better?
Yeah, I think it's really a combination. I mean, there are definitely some growers out there that realize the Pythium is a challenge and understand which disease. For the most part, growers just want to get a stand, and they want to drive down the road in your pickup truck when you've planted that crop and see a nice even stand, not have to worry about it, be able to sleep well at night. And so I'd say that's probably more prevalent where we're trying to look ahead, we're trying to do things behind the scenes, and we have a tagline that's in the bag, so don't worry about it, we've got you covered, we've got those genetics, and we've got them as well protected as we possibly can. So that's the kind of thing I think about day in, day out is how can we add more things and make better protection and bolster that lineup so that we don't have a situation where a grower wakes up and they're disappointed in the level of protection we've provided.
You always want to have that great starting point, the best seed possible, obviously. But in a time like now where commodities are coming down in price, farmers are maybe looking at the math and saying, I need to have the absolute best to start with because I don't know necessarily if I'm going to be able to do all the things throughout the season that I would in a time when commodity prices are a little bit higher. So is this even amplifying more that starting point needs to be at its best?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not as much margin for error. And so just making sure we get off to a great start, we have that seed as well protected as possible. And I've heard it said over the years that you really need to kind of bushel through the tough economic times. You've got to have the bushels to sell. And so even though commodity prices might be a little bit lower, you got to have the bushels to sell. And this is another tool that reduces the risk for customers in getting that good stand so they've got the bushels to work with in the fall of the year.
That yield can make up the difference, certainly. And then you also mentioned another product here this morning, Phalanx. How does that fit into the plan?
Yeah, so we'll have a new insecticide seed treatment next year called Phalanx. It'll replace the product we've used in the past called Gaucho. Gaucho, a little different mode of action, same family of chemistry. Phalanx is proven technology, and what it brings to the table is really better application characteristics for our treating team. But from a grower perspective, we've got more labeled insects on the Phalanx label than what we had in the Gaucho label, so they're going to see as good or better protection with the addition of Phalanx versus the Gaucho that we've used in the past for several years.
Brad Van Kooten with Pioneer, our guest here this morning. Brad, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa viewers, our Iowa listeners know about when it comes to what you're working with at Pioneer right now, what you're excited about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the future. The seed applied technology space has been a really fun area to be in. I expect to be back next year talking about additional new technologies we're bringing. So there's a lot of research and a lot of innovation going into our seed applied technologies to make them better so that our customers have a better experience with our products. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the future.
And that technology always just improving by leaps and bounds. He is Brad Van Kooten with Pioneer, our guest here today at Farm Progress 2024. Brad, thanks so much for the time and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brad Van Kooten of Pioneer for joining today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notification icon as well. That will let you know whenever we have any new videos available for you. Also, you can follow us on social media at LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcast, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Farm Progress Show in Boone, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.